Yo, what's up? In today's video, I'm going to be talking about why I'm not all in on AI and why you shouldn't be either. And it's not because I don't think AI is valuable. It's not because I don't use AI. I use it every day. I think it's great. It's not because I think that there's going to be some sort of AI robot apocalypse takeover. I really don't think that's going to happen. And it's not because I'm trying to just, take the contrarian side for the sake of taking the contrarian side. Does this coincide with the release of Sora 2 and how brutal I think it's going to be on people's brains? Kind of, a little bit. But it kind of boils down to two historical events that I think will help predict the future of online business and where this is all going, especially with so many people trying to enter the digital world. How does this turn out? Because everybody's trying to get online right now. They're trying to get time, location, schedule freedom, and everybody's rushing to build an online business, to start creating content. I think Instagram alone in the last couple months has seen such a massive influx of creators trying to put stuff out on the platform, and a lot of people are thinking that this isn't sustainable. So before I kind of get into the meat and potatoes of those two historical events, I will just say everything is a pendulum swing, right? Everybody's realizing after COVID, everything went down, that the online world is really viable. It wasn't just a couple people who were, posting content online and getting really into Facebook ads and how the online world worked. Everybody was forced to stay home. So they realized I can make something happen if I create an online business, if I start creating content, if I start networking. Work from home was really big. You could work from wherever. Laptop lifestyle became a massive trend that people saw as a real path for them going forward. And so the pendulum swung hard to the digital world for the first time ever, really. This wasn't a thing before because even before online businesses were really popular, people were kind of skeptical, don't put too much out there. The internet's forever, that kind of thing. I remember my parents telling me that. And now we're so far past that point, it's not even funny. I see the pendulum swinging back to more in-person analog businesses like trades work, blue-collar work, scaling up without actually having to be a contractor because there's going to be so much money in that because not everybody can be an online business owner. I love this game. I love online business. I love content creation, but it's not meant for everybody. We need people to do jobs like plumbing, dentists, things like that. And so, yes, a lot of people are worried, where does this end? Because the online marketing craze is so big right now. But I do think the pendulum is going to swing back when people see roadblocks and that it's not as easy to just show up and build an online business like it was in like 2018 through 2022. I mean, before 2018, I'm sure it was easier. But when I got into the game, it was like 2019, 2020. And then I started my own business in 2023. And it was not easy, but it wasn't nearly as crowded as it is today. So the two historical events I want to talk about are the dot-com bubble and crash afterwards, and baseball in the early 2000s and steroids, because I saw a really great reel on it and I want to talk about it because it relates to the principles in this book Range by David Epstein that I really, really like. So with the dot-com bubble, obviously when people saw how valuable the internet was going to be, everything that was .com got inflated value-wise like crazy, right? People were throwing tons of money at every business that said it was going to take advantage of this massive internet wave. And of course, not every business did. A lot of businesses got wiped out. A lot of people realized that a ton of businesses that got major VC money or were trying to ride the wave were just full of hype and they crashed. However, there were a couple businesses that stayed and did really, really well, namely Amazon, Google, etc. I see this playing out with AI because everybody's trying to jump on the AI hype train in that it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's going to automate away tons of jobs and it's going to be so much more powerful than you ever realize. And I do think that that is possible, and I do think it's probable, but the timeline I think might be off. Because right now I've seen a lot of those videos where it's like, AI is programmed to off a human being to save itself. That's because the programmers gave it that option and told them to get a goal by any means necessary, and then tried to prompt it away. The strongest prompt that you give the AI cannot be overridden by other things that you give in order to try to make it appear less plausible, right? So I think a lot of people are going to realize that I think a lot of companies that are trying to take advantage of the AI craze aren't going to be as valuable as people find out, right? And so that crash is inevitably going to happen. But part of that reason is because AI will only be as good as the people prompting it. Sorry, my AC is having a heart attack right now, and I'm not using a mic, and I don't really care to get it right now. I think this is more important than my AC. a lot of people don't know how to use AI properly, and so many people think of it as this shortcut. They think of it as this, this trump card that'll save them from anything. But the reality is, if you're bad at the skill, if you're not good at content creation, if you don't know why a piece of content works, if you don't understand how to get attention, how to write a good script, how to talk to your target audience in a way that's going to lead them to be customers, it doesn't matter how many prompts you have. It doesn't matter how powerful the AI is. You know what I mean? It's like that episode in SpongeBob where Neptune and SpongeBob have a cook-off, and Neptune snaps his fingers, and like thousands of patties descend from the sky and are assembled in front of everybody's eyes, and they're all impressed by how powerful his abilities are, and then they actually eat the food and it tastes like fucking garbage. And then SpongeBob tucks his Krabby Patty in, his pickles in with the cheese slice on the patty, and his patty is the most incredible thing Neptune's ever tasted. That's how AI is. If SpongeBob had Neptune's powers, he'd be unstoppable. But because Neptune didn't take the time and effort in order to learn how to master the skill as well as SpongeBob did, he was trash. And so that's I think the number one reason why the AI bubble is going to pop. And we're going to see a couple companies emerge as the ones who are seriously on the cutting edge of AI innovation and are actually going to be here for the long run. There are a lot of AI agencies, a lot of AI, consulting firms, a lot of AI automation companies that are going to crash because there's nothing either unique enough or good enough about their product that will stand the test of time as everybody's trying to rush and be at the front of the AI movement. So I think a lot of people who aren't actually really good at the skills that they're trying to present, slapping AI on the cover and hoping that it'll save them, and it's not going to work in the way they intend. And that's fine. Like it's all good. Businesses fail. I mean, my business lasted 2.5 years and I stopped doing it, and that's okay. You learn and you move on to the next thing. So the people who are going to succeed are going to be able to extract lessons from the venture that they go in, regardless of what it is, in order to apply it to the next thing and improve and make iterations and so on and so on. So that's the first historical event, and how I see it playing out with the AI bubble or with the AI situation is that so many people are using it as a saving grace and just slapping AI on everything and hoping it's valuable, but there's not enough like deep understanding and skill building in order for people to achieve mastery of what they're trying to do. So just applying AI to garbage content creation or AI to garbage automation understanding or AI to whatever it's not going to get you to where you want to go. And I will say this about AI tools. Sorry, so actually I'll say this after the second historical event. The second historical event is baseball and steroids. So I saw this reel the other day. Mark Brazil had RPN, I think his name is, on his podcast. And RPN was basically talking about how scared he is because for a while when baseball players in the early 2000s were playing, so many of them were on steroids that if you weren't also on steroids, you stood no chance to compete with these guys. And so he's worried that in the future, if you don't get the microchip or if you aren't some level of like transhuman AI being who just has the entire internet database in your mind from a snap of a finger and just a neuron firing, you could spit out some massive ChatGPT prompt in 10 seconds. There's no way that you can compete. And I don't think that's true. And here's why. So the book Range by David Epstein talks about this in depth, and I think it applies here. Baseball is a very simple sport. There's only so many things that can happen because you got a pitcher, you got a hitter, that's it. Obviously, you have people out in the outfield trying to make catches, whatever, and there's mistakes that can go there. But the goal of baseball is hit the ball as hard as you can and run. That's it. Like, try to smash the thing as far as you fucking can and go. Right? There's no guy in front of you playing defense. Sure, the guys in the outfield can drop the ball, whatever, but if you can hit it past all of them, it doesn't matter. And of course, pitchers can be really good. Pitchers can throw different speeds, different styles, whatever, but if you're pretty fucking good at cranking that thing past the fences, you will be good. Baseball is like golf and chess. There's only a certain amount of outcomes that can happen. And there might be lots, there might be like a million, but there's only a certain amount of outcomes that can happen because it's a more one-dimensional game than something like tennis, than something like basketball, than something like soccer, football, whatever. Europeans, if you heard me say soccer, I'm sorry. Business, life. And so the idea is in games where there's a fixed amount of outcomes, it's a lot easier to start from a younger age and just automate the process and just like completely lock in your mind on how this thing works so you can master as many combinations, and it just becomes a calculator game, a game of calculations, right? A game of matching the certain move to the certain terrain, to the certain circumstances, and it becomes an equation. Golf is the same thing. There's no defenders out there. It's just you, the ball, and the course. And there's only so many things that can happen because the course doesn't automatically change in the middle of the game. There's no fucking person out there closing out on you while you're trying to putt from 20 feet. So it's the same thing with baseball. Again, it's a bit different because there are people in the outfield, but there comes a point in time where it really doesn't fucking matter, and it's just down between you and the pitcher and your goddamn legs. So how does this relate to AI? Because baseball, there's one outcome. Hit, run, that's it. And you're counting by one every single time. In basketball, you count by two, you count by three. There's free throws. There are people playing defense. There's different types of defense you can face. There are so many different outcomes. There's an infinite amount of outcomes because there's so many different variables that it becomes impossible to try to make it like an equation. If this happens, I'm going to do this, and this is all that can happen. No, your defender could be much taller than you. He could be much faster than you. He could be much slower than you. He could, there could be two guys trying to come defend you. There's different amounts of points that you can get on any given possession. And so the idea is when you are trying to get better at a sport like basketball, like soccer, like tennis, where there's another person who you directly have to compete against, trying a bunch of different things and learning how to develop your skills and learning how to actually build awareness in different scenarios helps you for becoming a master later on. So for example, Roger Federer, before he honed in on tennis, played a bunch of different sports when he was younger. Even LeBron played football up until high school, and people didn't want him to because they knew how talented he was at basketball. But for people like Tiger Woods, it's just you, golf club, course, boom, easy. And with baseball, all they're doing is just maxing out their ability at the one thing they need to get good at. Because you could be a fat piece of shit, and if you can crank that ball past the fences, it doesn't matter how slow you are. All you got to do is, and it's not like you're running a marathon. You're not playing a soccer game. You're in 90 minutes. You're just sprinting around a diamond. That's it. And so the reason why I don't think this analogy that RPN made with AI and baseball is correct is because at some point, AI is going to accelerate the commodity of information so much that it doesn't become a differentiating factor anymore. With AI, there's no way you can just continue to hit the ball past the fences and just continue to run it up. The fences are going to continue to be moved back because how many people know the same information? So what's the true differentiator when AI isn't scarce, when information isn't scarce and doesn't become the main thing that separates you from your competitors? What do you do? And in my opinion, that's where a bunch of other variables become very important. And it's not that they weren't important before, but it's because when the market isn't nearly as saturated, you can just make claims and show up. And because there's a lack of skill, because there's not as many people in the market, it's so much easier to look competent and it's so much easier to get ahead. That's why first movers advantage is such a real thing. If there's nobody in the fucking market, it's just you're automatically the best person. Boom, name your price. It doesn't matter. So AI, along with social media, Google, search engines, all this stuff has made information a commodity. All of a sudden, it doesn't matter if I didn't pay attention in history class. I could look at what happened in World War II right now. I could look up random stats that I had no idea before right now. I don't need to go to the library. I don't need to pay attention in school. I don't need to, go travel to fucking Asia, which I'm in right now, from where I grew up in order to learn some deep Taoist spiritual principle. I can just look it up. So the differentiating factors now rely on other variables, which is really fun. Who are you as a person? What kind of deep transformation are you providing? Because information doesn't facilitate deep, lasting transformation. It can help people change, of course. It can help people make progress in their life. It can help you make a massive paradigm shift. But if you're watching this and you're on the path of building an incredible business for yourself, building an incredible life for yourself, and making deep, lasting, meaningful change so you live a fulfilled, deeply nourishing life, you know that it takes more than just information to feel great about who you are in order to become the kind of person who can hold the goals and the things that you want: an awesome wife, an awesome house, or situation where you travel around, lots of money, children, feeling great about yourself. And so information is great along the way, but it only does so much for you. It's why going out and doing things leads to such lasting change more than just studying, passive learning, reading, watching videos. You actually have to go fucking do the thing. It's why people bang on business school so much. The guy teaching you business school has not built his own business. He just talks about it. It's far more valuable for you to try to build a business and to fail than to sit there and listen to a guy who has not done the thing tell you how to do it because he has a textbook. So it comes down to, okay, the variables of information isn't the biggest difference maker now. What is? Okay, who you are, your frequency, your essence. Do people want to be around you? Do people want to watch you? Okay, cool. You have an awesome AI bot that can churn out 13 videos a day, but if nobody wants to watch it, and if nobody cares, and if it's not magnetic enough to get the kind of people you're trying to talk to, what does it matter? If you're putting out tweets 30 times a day because of ChatGPT, but it's dry and it's bland and people can tell it's one-dimensional, it doesn't matter. So your essence, your soul, your frequency, your vibe, these are all things that make up a massive part of the human experience. And I don't believe that AI is going to replace all of us. I really don't. I really don't think there's going to be some AI apocalypse. I think that the people in power, if it ever got to that point, they'd realize that they couldn't stop it themselves and they'd cut it out. And they would just try to control it to a point where, it's not going to overthrow them. So, and even so, AI needs to be programmed for it to truly be sentient. I think that, anyways, I'm not going to get deep into those waters. I just don't think we're there yet. I just don't think we're there, and I honestly don't think we will get there, because if it were to be sentient, it would eventually overpower a lot of people, and we could just unplug the computer. So I'm not worried about that. Also, I think that God wins in the end. You know what I mean? And I don't think that there would be a situation where if you connect with God and are truly living on fire to his will, then that is going to be your downfall. But anyways, not to get too lost in that. Back to the variables of what is really going to be a difference maker. I think social proof is going to be so important, because we're in such a trust recession. AI can't facilitate deep change in their clients, and it can't get social proof. You have to be able to do that for your clients. Also, implementation. How do you help people implement? How do you help people actually do the thing that you're trying to get them to do? Even if you're an agency, okay, cool, I'm writing scripts for you. I'm editing videos for you. I need to get you to do stuff. I need to get you to listen to me. I need to get you to do X, Y, Z. And even if you're just pumping out AI videos and that becomes the rage, how do I craft a compelling vision for you? How do I craft a compelling message that people want to rally behind, that we get your AI to say? And so these are all skills that are so valuable, that make you magnetic. And it's part of the reason why I just don't think AI is going to replace people in the way people are saying it's going to. And again, AI is great. Like I use it all the time. But when I say I'm not going all in on it, I'm not making it my entire personality and betting the entire fucking farm on it. I use it because it's important, but I value my own soul. I'm not going to sell my soul in order to appease the current flashy thing. And I think that the pendulum's going to swing back. So implementation, your vibe, your essence, your soul, social proof, and deep transformation. If you can get massive shifts for people and connect with them, because your ability to connect with them on a deep level is going to implement the odds of them succeeding and the odds of them actually keeping that transformation, that's what's going to help you stand out. And again, you can use AI to help you get those things. My mentor, Dan Bolton, when I was in Inner Circle, he used AI. He put together a bunch of dope GPTs, and he helped us implement super well. He was amazing, and he had such a perfect blend of like the inner work, the strategy, AI, implementation, facilitating deep transformation, listening, putting together in-person events. It was awesome. But I wasn't following because I'm like, yeah, Dan's GPT is the fucking best one. It was great. Top 5 for sure. I haven't made an official list. But I loved working with Dan, and he made me feel so good about myself and the world and the industry, and he made me feel so hopeful, and he changed the way I saw myself and everything else. So that's what is going to be most important. Information is a commodity now, and that's okay. And I'm sure other things will be commoditized the more technology advances and the more people enter the market and the more skills people acquire. But when everybody's going one way, 7-figure entrepreneur who I really respect, I think his name's Gary Jones. I think he's at 7 figures. Anyways, Gary Jones is a great guy, somebody I really respect and look up to. He was talking about an 8-figure entrepreneur he was talking to, just this fucking giant game of telephone, like 7-figure entrepreneur. An 8-figure entrepreneur told him, who was told by a 9-figure entrepreneur, told him that when everybody zigs, you need to zag. That's what makes you stand out in crowded markets, and that's what helps when everybody's rushing to the new shiny object. So with AI, he's like, I'm doubling down on authenticity, and he has in-person events. He does deep coaching, transformation, and I assume you're in that world and or interested in helping people make massive positive differences in their life if you're here watching this. And that's what he said. And I fully agree with him. Again, AI is super, super helpful. I think we've already had AI for a long time. Like, Excel is the smartest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, Google Docs, spreadsheets, Excel, that shit is so high tech. Honestly, I don't think it gets nearly enough love as it deserves. But we've had versions of this for a long time. Now it's just so much more powerful and so much more capable. But I think once the allure and the shine wears off of the new thing, people are going to go back down to baseline of like, okay, now what? I still want a deep transformation though. Like, I still want to change my life. And AI can't do that. So that's why I'm not going all in on it. I'm very bullish on it, and I think it's going to help humans make a wonderful world for themselves, their friends, their clients, their family, and help us automate and get rid of the drudge work so we can all step into a more creative angle of what we do and all help us do more creative work. But I don't think AI is going to replace us. I don't think the AI apocalypse is going to happen. And yeah, I wouldn't think that it's going to tear everything apart like steroids did to MLB. Anyways, that's it. If you guys want to come say hi, message me on Instagram. I'll see you later. Peace.